SIG-23, this is 13 December 2020, and this is a bit of news. Some of it, a good part of it is past history leading up to today, and this is certainly not the end. From 19 December 2017. China is set to move into the United States backyard with National Development Plan for Grenada. China is helping the government of Grenada prepare a national development plan. If the Grenadian government accepts the multi-billion US dollar plan, it would become the first in the world to opt for the wholesale adoption of a Chinese development blueprint, increasing Beijing's influence in the region. The Chinese Foreign Ministry told the South China Morning Post this month that China Development Bank, at the request of the Grenadian government, is helping them draft a national development strategy. It said the Grenadian government assumed the primary responsibility for the development of their own country and that China was willing to provide necessary assistance to their economic and social development upon request. They are, of course, doing the same thing throughout Africa. Wang Yingji, a lead researcher involved in the drafting of the Grenada National Development Strategic Plan, told the Post this month that the plan had been finished recently and should be in the hands of the Grenadian government already. The Grenadian government announced its National Strategic Plan 2030 in November 2014. For anybody that actually pays attention, before we had the great Agenda 21, that got pushed back to Agenda 2030. Interesting. So, Beijing's blueprint envisions the construction of massive infrastructure projects in the small tropical nation, which has a population of about 100,000. They include the construction of a highway connecting the major towns on its main island, which is about 4 times the size of Hong Kong, and a railway line encircling it. The plan also calls for the building of deep water ports that could accommodate a large number of cruise and cargo ships, a large wind farm to replace diesel-fueled generators, and a modernized airport with more and longer runways. It also sees a future for Grenada as an offshore tax haven for foreign companies or individuals. The website of the Economic and Commercial Counselor's Office at the Chinese Embassy in Grenada says Chinese experts involved in the project visited Grenada in August of last year and met government officials in charge of diplomatic relations, economic development, tourism, agriculture, industry, and education. Wow, they're really digging in. But actually, probably no more than what they're doing in the States. Chinese companies have already been involved in many infrastructure projects on the islands, including the construction of the National Sports Stadium and government-subsidized housing and work to repair the damage caused by hurricanes. In '83, the Reagan White House viewed the construction of a new airport at the southern tip of Grenada's main island, more than 2,500 kilometers southeast of Miami, as a threat to U.S. national security. The project had been proposed by Britain, Grenada's former colonial ruler, and designed by Canada, but it was being built with the help of Cuban construction workers. The U.S. government worried the 3-kilometer runway would be long enough for a large Soviet cargo aircraft to land with strategic payloads, which would help expand the Soviet Union's influence in the region. 6 days after the execution of Grenada's leftist Prime Minister Maurice Bishop in a military coup, U.S. President Ronald Reagan launched Operation Urgent Fury on October 25, 1983, saying he wanted to protect American students and citizens on the island. But Jared Ward, a historian at the University of Akron who has studied China's Caribbean relations during the Cold War, warned that China's increased presence in Caribbean affairs could be a subtle jab at U.S. dominance of the Western Hemisphere at a time when Washington was pushing Beijing in the South China Sea. quote, at a time when Washington is accusing China of bullying smaller countries in the South China Sea, Beijing has repeatedly held the Caribbean up as an example of America's history of big power chauvinism, Ward wrote in an article on the website of the Jamestown Foundation in July. That was Grenada. This was 2017, 19 December. Wow, okay. 6 days away from being a three-year-old article. So, what comes next, what I'm going to read is from the St. Louis Dispatch, dated January 6, 2019. This person, this person has a definite anti-present administration bent, so I edited some of his crap out because I don't want to hear it. However, it was suggested to me that it would be helpful if I post links to the articles, so I'm going to be doing that. All the articles that I read, I'm going to be posting the links so that yourselves can go to the sources yourself and read the material for yourself, so you're not relying on a face on a screen in a brown shirt. So, China has rolled into Panama and established a major hemispheric foothold alongside a waterway essential to U.S. commerce and national security. Keep in mind, this is from January 6, 2019. So it's just over a year old. Okay, almost two, whatever. The vast majority of commercial products and farm commodities traded by local farmers pass through the Panama Canal. Access to the canal is vital for U.S. military vessels, including nuclear submarines. Few waterways carry higher strategic importance for the United States, which is why the U.S. militarily occupied Panama for nearly a century. You would think that a former president who was in the Navy might recognize and want to retain, might recognize the strategic importance of the Panama Canal and might want to retain it as our property that we built and that we paid for. However, because said former president was a Democrat, is a Democrat, it makes perfect sense that he would be willing to give away territory of strategic value, irrespective of whether or not he happened to be in the Navy. Yeah. So, China recognized that strategic importance long ago. It has worked for years to bribe and cajole its way to the hearts of Latin American leaders to break the region's long-standing recognition of Taiwan over mainland China. Even though the United States withdrew recognition of Taiwan in 1971 and 1979 in favor of China, it has pressed countries across Central America and South America not to recognize China. Panama, Ecuador, El Salvador, and Guatemala remained, past tense, steadfastly in their loyalty to Taiwan, but China slowly picked them off one by one, typically with multi-billion-dollar loans and development aid that came replete with backdoor deals that enriched officials while leaving their countries deeply in debt to Beijing. China has now become Latin America's top trading partner. Ecuador is now swimming in an unaffordable $19 billion debt to China, as the New York Times reported, or as Mark Levin would say, the New York Slimes. On December 24, all for a dam that the country really didn't need and can't use because it was so shoddily constructed. Perhaps the most telling sign of China's intentions was the travel schedule of Xi Jinping after he became president in 2013. His first visits to the hemisphere were not to the United States, but rather to Trinidad and Tobago, Costa Rica, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela, Cuba, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, and Panama. By the time he met with President Trump in 2018, China's plan to supplant the United States in Latin America was well underway. In August, Washington was shaken by the news that El Salvador had withdrawn recognition of Taiwan in favor of China. I'm not sure why that would be such a big deal if the United States withdrew recognition of Taiwan in favor of China. The Dominican Republic did likewise only 3 months earlier. Panama did it in June of 2017, all without consulting the United States. First, if these countries are looking out for their own welfare, why would they need to consult the United States? Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has grown so concerned over China's economic incursions in September, he recalled the top U.S. diplomats from Panama, El Salvador, and Guatemala for, quote, consultations related to recent decisions to no longer recognize Taiwan. In 2017, Panama was wallowing in the attention and investment largesse showering down from China the day after Xi had paid his first visit to the country. The two nations were negotiating a free trade agreement, prompting Washington to warn Panama against committing itself to Beijing in ways that could violate the free trade accord Panama signed with President George Bush's administration in 2007. Chinese companies now operate at both the Pacific and Caribbean ends of the canal. Another reportedly is planning to build a cruise ship port at a former U.S. Air Force base. The site will also sit atop a major telecommunications trunk line, perfect for monitoring international phone and internet traffic. Varela, a Panamanian, planned to give China the choicest property on the Amador Causeway, former home to U.S. admirals overlooking the canal's Pacific end, for Beijing to build its new embassy. But after the plans were leaked to a reporter, the United States protested loudly and the deal was canceled. The location would have given China a prime monitoring post to track U.S. military vessels passing through the canal. So that actually ends that particular video. I'm going to stop this, post the links. So, 623 out.